Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Mr. Bravo's workshop. It is a very cold 6 degrees outside. The coffee is already flowing, and the ship has now had 24 hours to dry with that light colour on it. So let's get cracking on this morning. So now that it's dry, let's have a pretty good look at it. Yeah, pretty happy with that, and the colour, and it looks pretty good. I'll just give you a bit of a slow-mo there, just to have a look at it all. It looks pretty uniform all the way around. Can I get that in the light? Yes. And let's go around this way. And let's come back. And it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. So that is our first colour of camo. So what are we doing now? Well, let's get the plan out and have a bit of a look. For the moment, I'm only going to concentrate on the rear of the ship and where we need to put the camouflage. So we have the entire ship in this colour here. And what we need to do now is we've got to kind of work out, number one, where do we hold this line? And two, how do we hold this line? So the first one is a couple of points where to start from. Let me see. Let's turn the ship around the right way. Hang on. So there is the rear of the plans. I've blown them up quite high. We can see that Belfast in there. Let me just clean that off just a little bit. Yeah, we can see the Belfast in there. And then basically you've got this like a rail there, like a rod, a handrail, bump rail, tie rail, call it whatever you want. So what do we have here? So what are we looking for? We're looking for a telltale sign where to put this. Now, if we can find where this is, we're just a fraction off where we start the blue. So, and another thing is we've got these portholes here. There's one there and one there. And if we go to the ship very quickly, while it's still fresh, there are those two holes that we were talking about. There's the Belfast, there's one porthole, there's the second porthole. We know that that line starts almost directly in line with this one here. So what I'm saying is by using the plans, we can break down exactly where to start all this stuff. So we know our first one must start somewhere around here. Where does it end? It's a good question. Let's find out. Okay, back at the plans again. Looking at the portholes this time, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, virtually 5 portholes. And we can say just underneath the porthole is where we finish this one. So now we have our start point and now we have our end point. And also, we know that there is our line underneath. If we got 14 mil, which comes in roughly half there at 7, we could probably go half that again, and that'll give us our bottom line for our depth. So we now have our coordinates for making our sticker for capturing this white line. Now, some of you might say, well, yes, that's all very well and good, you know, for holding the white, and it is. Hang on a second. Okay, just pause there for a second. The whole reason I paused is you can get very confused with this very quickly, and it can become extremely confusing. The whole point of putting the white down was to basically, that is your first camo color. The sticker is to keep it, but what we need to do is we're not actually making the sticker, because that is our next color. What we're making is the sticker that covers this one here, because we want to now keep the white. But by marking this out and making the sticker, we know exactly what to cut out of the actual tape, which is going to cover this, if you know what I mean. So if we go back to the ship, so there's the ship. So if we go back to the portholes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it turns out there's only 5 portholes on this one anyway, we know that sticker, or the blue, is going to come down down across here, probably almost in line with this. I'll double check that though, and then we'll come up almost somewhere exactly here. So lengthwise, where is the ruler? Lengthwise, we know that sticker is going to be about 80 mil. 80 mil long, and yeah, that's for the cutout for the blue, if that makes any sense. Now, I know it is a little confusing. Now, you do have the pictures on your illustration of exactly, you know, how to shape that. There are different ways to shape it, but we actually have our length now. So we got our tape, and we worked out, you know, what do we got here? 14 mil roughly for our camouflage. Let's double check that. Somewhere there. I did change that in the end, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what your height is. You already know, let's go back to the plan for a minute. You already know that whatever depth you have, if you didn't do it exactly like mine, you have a clear-cut shape here. So it basically, it's got kind of like a bowl section in the middle here, and then it kind of, you know, really runs off. So I would call the bottom somewhere here, which is about that mark that I said to you. Let's zoom in there a little bit. Let's zoom in. Let's go a little more. A little more. Okay, we've zoomed in pretty high here, and I am hanging on to the paper, so it's a little shaky. So that was that little mark that I was telling you about. So if we stay just above that mark, because, you know, this is going to cause a pain anyway, we should be pretty right. What I'm saying is, if I zoom back out, I'm going to call its lowest point somewhere here, which is obviously not in the middle. So if that's our lowest point, and we can get an object of something to give us our slight bend, and it does seem to have, you know, a bit of a straight edge here, like that. Can I put the straight edge on there? And if you look at the rest of the plane, it is quite sharp. So we're looking for a line through there, coming down the bowl section under here. We'll call it a bowl section. And obviously at the other end, it's quite sharp, if I can do this on camera, coming in this way. I would call that a fairly straight line. So we want kind of like a round section, and probably right where this starts, to be honest. This is all very important in explaining how to do this. One of the reasons I'm doing this ship is someone asked that they were having trouble doing the camouflage. I like the ship, I like the challenge of it, and it's one of the reasons I did it. So let's get on and make the sticker for this one. I thought I'd better bring you back in because you're going to need to know this measurement no matter what yours is. So mine is, let's put it right in the camera. I'm going to call mine pretty much 12 mil. I know it's not the original 14 that we asked for, and I don't even know if it's uniform right across the whole ship. I just know that when I put the line on, I was very happy with it and where it sat. So I need to know this measurement to actually make up the sticker. So we know we need a sticker that is longer than 80, and that's 80 for the blue. Let's go back to the plan for a second. So there is the ship at the stern. We can very clearly see that it's white all the way around. Let's have a look at the other side. And there is the other side of the ship. And you can clearly see that the whole rear of the ship is all white. So we already know that there's no other color going on the rear of the ship, so we can basically cover the entire rear of the ship and keeping the white, so we can paint the next color, which is our next lightest color, which is our light blue. This is the color we're going to be painting next. Okay, our next measurement to work out is, we know we're keeping all the white here. We know this sticker here is approximately 80 mil to cut out in length, and we already know the depth, right? So what we need to know now is, where do we stop this white? Well, the white continues along, and I'm sure you've seen this shape in the ship a couple of times, and I thought when I first seen it that it might have been a mistake. It's part of the ship, and we do know our white finishes virtually right here. Is it at the very end? Nope. So that makes it just a little difficult. Do we have another telltale sign there? Let's have a look. Well, I am using the coloured one just in case, you know, it's got a bit more definition in it. That's why I'm using it. We could say, let's try and break this down. There's the end of that section there, and obviously there's the start. We would be just off the center, so we found the center between the end and here, somewhere in the middle. We could stretch it just a little further and say that would be our end point. So now we need to measure that and work out what that actually is. Well, there is that section on the ship. It's not as probably defined as it is on the illustrations. Clearly there's the start, there's probably the end of it, and somewhere in the middle would be here. So we would be just a fraction in front of it, creating a line. So now we basically know our end part for our white, and we need to know this. So if we even stretched a little further, because we need the tape bigger than what we need. So overall, let's zoom out now. There we are, zoomed out. We know we need a tape that is bigger than, I would say, you would probably need to have a tape working with about 160. It is slightly longer, but you need it to be slightly longer. Remember, this is all about holding the white, not actually making the mark for the blue. And that's where it gets confusing. Because when you do the sticker, you think, okay, I'll make the sticker the same as the blue. You're right, but that's the part that you're chopping out of the sticker. We want to hold the white. So for me, the sticker has to be, when I say sticker, I mean I'm going to make stickers out of these, because you can't buy a sticker pack. I mean, it'd be nice if they did, and sure, they could probably make sticker packs and stick them on and away you go, but this is modeling. So yeah, so for me, I'm probably going to start off with about, I don't know, maybe 160, 170, because I want a sticker on this side that wraps around, and then I want another one on the other side that wraps around the other way, because we already know the other side is white. So I've just changed the ship angle again. The other thing we need to know is, as a measurement, we're going to keep all of this as white, and we know it starts pretty much somewhere around here. What is this measurement from this point to the end of the ship? You can almost see that there. I'm probably going to call that 29, 28. You don't have to be super accurate, but if you want your ship to look like the illustrations, then, you know, this kind of helps. Why do we need this? This tells us where to start. Once we got our, you know, markings, where to start to come back to chop it out. So at the end of it, we'll have this covered, or this covered. Let's put you back on the screen a bit more. And what we'll have is a piece missing out of here, which will be our next colour. So there is my sticker down. I'm not really happy with the placement of that. It's good for me, as in marking it out. It's probably not the best for you though. Let me just see if I can change this. Yeah, that's probably a little better there. I don't mind pulling these up and down a little bit, because it takes some of the stickiness off it every time you wear these out. Why is that okay? Because when I put it on the ship, I don't want it to be all that powerful anyway. I don't want it to be super strong. It is a sticker, and it does have to come off, so I don't mind doing that on and off a couple of times to kind of weaken its stickiness, if that's what, you know, that's what I'm trying to say there. So there's our sticker. Let's sort you out. There's our ruler. Let's go 160 in the middle there somewhere. Let's use some of these block lines as well. And where's my trusty grey lid? So let's start off. We've got approximately 160, which is there and there. And I do generally make the sticker slightly bigger, unless I see there's a reason not to. We've seen now that's on an angle, the sticker. So basically what we want our work area. So our work area is this. Let's put a line through there and a line through here, which is practically right on the line. I do like to use the grid every now and then. It does help. So even though this is excess, we still need it. So we also know that our line to come in from the end, and this we're going to call this one the end of the ship, the bow, sorry, the stern. And then basically we need to come in approximately 30 mil or 29 or 28, whichever one you wanted to work out to be. Let's go 28. About there is our working line. Now the other one was, so we needed our overall length, which we did not work that out. Let's quickly get that out and work that out. We know that half was here. I'm going to put a very faint line on there, and we want to just past that, probably there. Just going to eyeball it. Now, we want our overall length to be, I'm going to try and get that line and that, and I'd probably say at least 125, somewhere there. So if we go from there, 125, mark that one there, and there, and there is a bit of eyeballing to be done in this. So what I'm trying to say is that is our, what part of the ship is that? That is our top angle, and then obviously the line spreads out further than that. Is that correct? Let me just double check that. So there is our furthest line, which is one I was just saying. It's just past it. We do know this line cuts in rather sharp along with this edge here. So let's continue marking this out. Still using the grid. Let's grid for squareness. Let's put that line in there as well. Approximately like that. That 125 line somewhere here. And we will know sooner or later whether we are correct or not. So forget about these pieces. These do not exist. Just here and exit here. I'm going to show you more on this one, how to make the stickers, and probably a little less on the other ones. This is how we get our lines. So we know this is our starting point because we're approximately 30 mil in, 28 mil in. I don't know if you can see that. Can I get a better view? Let's change the angle. Okay, I've decided to move that just a little bit. So we know that is the end of the ship. That is our 30 mil in. We have approximately 80 mil for the length of that blue. So let's mark that off as well. It's somewhere here. Was it 80 mil? I do believe it was 80 mil. It was somewhere between there and there. I'm just going to double check that. Somewhere between there and there. Yeah, it was 80 mil. And then that is our start point. I thought that was our start point. No, that was our overall rough point. So the 160, what's going to throw you off there. The 160 was just roughly the working area, as in, yeah, where I was going to put roughly the sticker. I do always make them a little bit bigger. And I do believe this is our start point for the edge. So if we go from there to there, 125, which was that one there. Yeah, so that is our sticker. So what do we do here? We kind of need to know that angle too. That is going to be a hard one. So let's do the easy one first, which was the 80. Okay, so let's now mark down the depth, which I've said to you on mine is now 12. So we need to come down 12 mil. That blue section there is going to be just here on this one here, right there. So bringing you back to get our next measurement, which is, we know we need to be, I've got to be careful about marking this ship with the grey lead because it is painted. I don't really want to be painting it again. So for this one here, we're going to stay very close to this one. The line actually misses it, but this is roughly the depth of the blue line. We do want some of this white line kept, so let's work this one out. Just bringing back the plan. Let's zoom in a little more. Come on, a little more. There we go. It's fair to say there's, you know, a decent amount of white left. I'll bring the pointer in. So if we got 12 mil between here and here, and that is 6 mil halfway, you would easily say that that is probably halfway between there and there. So we're going to call that eyeballing it, as this is its lowest point right here. You could probably go 3, maybe 4 mil. So that would leave 2 mil up, possibly. A 2 mil line would be about as thick as the black line, which is pretty close. I was going to say pretty about right then. Yeah. I'd be happy with that. I mean, there's 2 mil, there's that, so you'd say that's probably slightly less than 2 mil, but somewhere there is where I'm going. So I know you're still zoomed in quite high. Just while we're there, I'm going to add 2 mil there. I might even go 2.5. I'll have to change my glasses. These, I'm struggling a little bit with these glasses. I'm going to have to change them. Okay, now I've actually got my reading glasses on. Right, let's have a look. Where are we? On the line, 1, 2 and a bit. Let's go that. And the same on the other side. Let's go 1, 2 and a bit. There. Let's put that line in. You're going to focus? Yeah. I know that looks a little messy. And again, kind of eyeballing it to get it right, because this is the white line you want to keep. At this point, you can adjust it. If you don't like it, you can adjust it higher or lower. These measurements are only to give you a rough idea. I'm going to stay with that. I'm pretty happy with that. But I also want it dead level. Let's go with that one there. So that's how much of the white's going to stay. Happy with that. So if I zoom out just a fraction, let's zoom out. Oh, that's the wrong way. Let's go that way. That's it there. That's our 80 mil. Now, let's work out how far the dip is in that blue section. There's our blue section. We know the dip is pretty much somewhere about here. And that is definitely not half. Half of that blue section across the top would be somewhere here. Somewhere even here. I would even say that that blue section is probably a half of what's left between here. Again, these are all eyeballs. There's no measurements that come with this ship. You know, you'll slightly vary from one to the other. I'm going to say half is probably where this is, and I'm going to say, if I was to say half again and then come back a fraction, I'd be there. So let's go to the grid. So there's our grid. If we say half is here, there's 40, and then half again is 20, but a little more. Somewhere around here. Again, now, of course, it's got to look okay as well, because it does have to look like that shape. So what I'm trying to say is, by the time we come around like that, and then probably come around like that, and then shoot off again, we'd be almost there. Let's see if we can put a round section in this and see how we go. So this is where I usually find something around the house that is suits. I've just thrown this down to give you a bit of an idea. So if I was to run that around like that, to get roughly the line, you would probably get a bit of a round section in there. And it's not enough, you go for something slightly bigger. I reckon I need something slightly bigger, but I'm just going to roughly pencil that in. And then obviously coming back with the ruler, if I can pick it up, we know we're going to come back roughly here. And if I just very lightly put that in there as well, we know we're going to go to here. And then there's a little bit of, hand drawing stuff that goes in here as well to kind of create that line. I think the first section's a little too harsh. Let's roll that line back just a little. Let's roll that back this way, which is why I only put them on there light. And then we could pick up the ruler again. And we kind of want to pick up that line and back to that line. And you kind of had the start of our first sticker. And then we just want to hand draw this in just to clean it up a little bit. And come back around this way. Yeah, it's got a bit of a curve on it. It's fairly straight there. I'm not entirely happy with that. I'll probably come back just a fraction this way. This is where playing with it just a little bit. Yeah, that's a little better. And probably even just chop off the very little bit under here. And this section here is the section we want to take out. Why? Because the rest of this will keep the white. So what we're looking for here is our sticker, this one here, to look like the blue. Let's get the drawing out once more. There we have them both. There's the blue. There's my sticker. They're not exact, but they are pretty close. Just give you a moment there to look at it. I'm pretty happy with that. So let's chop that out. I know this episode's getting a little long, but to really show you guys how to do this, this is how long it takes. I kind of freehand this just a little bit. And freehand kind of fixes up any blemishes that I do. Just like that. Let's take that one off. I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to keep these because I can duplicate this sticker just with these. And I might just do that. I've got a friend who works in a printing mob who does printing, and he might be able to make these and can make them up as a kit. So that is our first one out. Now, that is our blue for the end of the ship. Let's go back here. Sorry, that is our white for the end of the ship. That's our blue that is now out. And now we need to keep the end. So we know the end is pretty sharp. So, and I like to keep this because that'll also go on underneath, under here, as part of the, as part of the sticker kit. So now we need to know, where do we end this white? Okay. So there is our plan. There is our fifth porthole. We know we are just a fraction underneath it, which has got our length. So we already know where our length is here. We know where our length is here, which is on our sticker. Should be here and here. You're just slightly off screen there. Let me change that. Here and here. So what we need to do is somehow bring this line back this way. And it has to be a fairly sharp line because this line also dictates the rest. It's pretty important, that line, actually. Kind of mess this up, and we're going to kind of mess the top of it up. Although I would argue that that and that don't line up anyway. They're close, but they definitely don't line up. let me see now. What's the best way of doing this? If we know the ship is here, what's at the end here? Is there a way to tell? Oh, sorry, you're completely off the screen there. Oh God. I was just saying, it's probably because I'm zoomed in too much. I was just saying that this section here, the blue, and this section here don't quite add up. So we know that's our porthole there. Actually, you know where it ends? It ends right on the porthole, just on the other side of it. So we do have a measurement there. Let's get that measurement, which was just... So if our sticker ends there, because of the porthole just before it, if we go just after it, almost like a dead line, like that, we should almost have our starting point, and that's a pretty good reference. Let's do that. Well, we are in a little bit of luck. I've already got the line in there. That is our line dead down. I'm slightly back from that anyway. Let's just do the line from there to there and see how it goes. Okay, get my ruler out. Let's get the pencil. Let's mark it first and see how we like it. Now, the shape is very similar as well. It seems pretty uniform. It is slightly wider. I'm going to bring back the plan for a second. Bringing back the plan. It is slightly wider at the top than it is at the bottom. So this is what we're aiming for. We're aiming for a shape that is similar to that. So there's our line directly down. I probably could have cut this sticker slightly longer, but again, it's all freehand. I'm going to say that slightly longer. There's happy with the top line. I don't really want to go past it because I do know it is in line. So something like that. How does our sticker go? Now I would have said that's slightly small at the top than it is the bottom. Probably we should have maybe marked this beforehand. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but I do know that the measurements are correct with this one and this one, which will probably dictate the line going upwards anyway. I'm still fairly happy with that. If anything, what's next? What's in front of that line? So what I mean by in front of that line, so in front of that colour is all this grey. So if we wanted to, we could probably cheat a little bit here and just put this grey on, although we do have to be careful of this, which is the whole reason why we're doing that. I think we should keep this line here and just we are roughly there as far as the shape goes. If we were to cover that off in line with the ship, that's the ship line there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that line. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It is not the easiest stuff to work out, but this is how I work it out. So because this is a sticker and it is another colour from here forward, we do have to cut this one. And let's cut this one on that line completely. Let's go with there, like that, and straight down. Okay, so now this is now scrap on the other in front of that. Why is it scrap? Because we've got a colour change in front of it. This is only to keep the white. So there we go. There's our sticker. There's our end. The end here can swing around and tag together to save the end. So that is our sticker. That's our first sticker. So now we have to know where to place this. Well, we already know the fifth porthole is a pretty good point. And we also know that this... Oh, sorry. I did it again. I'm going to need to zoom out here. We also... So let's start that again. So we know that the fifth porthole here is a start point. And this one here is also another, which gave us our 30mm from around the back approximately. which was this line here. So if we place this sticker on roughly here, we should be pretty right as in placement. So let's do that right now. So I'm going to try and do this online with you. Now, two things to remember here. The top is still the top of the ship, and the line has to be roughly in line with that. So I'm just going to touch that there. The other side is also in line with the ship. Let's touch that there. Now, this is where if you need to adjust it, just make your adjustments. It's a little hard to do while online. Now, slightly misshaped, so let's take that off. Let's roll that around there. I think I've slightly stretched it too far up this end. Let's take that off there. No, I believe that angle is slightly wrong. Okay, let's go back. Give me 1 second. So I've just plonked that line on there. I'll do it again because it wasn't easy to do. And I know you're not really seeing much here. So I'm lining it up with where we know the start point is, which is approximately right here. And then I had to try and work out exactly where this one was going to fall. I've done it again, but I'm slightly high this time. Let's take that back. And this is rather tricky. See, that's too low now. Let's put that ship somewhere better. The main thing is the sticker's got to be straight. I had this perfectly a minute ago, and I messed it up showing you how I put it on. Of course, you don't want that. What makes it hard is if the sticker buckles. I'm going to do this. Hang on a second. Boy. Come on. Let's go there. There. No, too high. Let's go there, in line with that. And it's too high. About there. Let's lift that. Pretty close there, yeah. No, it's too high. Okay, so I eventually got it. We can see the pull hole down the back there. I've lined it up with the top here, which is exactly what I want. The tape's got to be fairly straight to keep its structure. I did think to myself, I could have probably put another piece across here, which would have held its shape. Now we've just got to finish up the rear of the ship, do some slight adjustments there, rolling it around, and basically around to the halfway point where we'll catch the tape on the other side. And of course, we want to push this down now a little bit. And the tape is not really all that buckled, not considering it's in a straight line. How did we go here? And of course, this is all about keeping this line, so we want this down fairly well, sharpen all the corners. Let's roll this back around a bit more, that way, and around that way. I don't really want to scratch the paint, but I also want the sticker down nice because we don't want any bleeding like we had last time. So if I concentrate on the sticker now, it should be pretty right. Happy with those edges there. Those edges there. So I know I was not, let's zoom in. So that is our blue for our next colour. Why do we cut it like this? Because this is what we want to keep. We want to keep the white, and our next colour through here is all dark, so this makes sense to cut it like this. How do we go with our angle piece? Not bad. It's pretty right. It's not probably, it's here or there is what I'm trying to say. It's just the model's not as exactly accurate to the illustrations, and vice versa. It's just a little bit of both. What matters here is these lines have to be down. We just missed that piece there, which is what we wanted. We wanted to be just above it, and I'm pretty happy with that. So that is our first blue sticker, or our sticker. Now, when I say blue, this is to keep the white, and the blue will go on here as the next colour. We are talking about the next colour because that's what we're painting next. So the white on this side is now done, and unfortunately we have run out of time in this episode. It's gone a little long. We'll have to do some fair bit of editing. I hope that is well explained, or well explained enough to where I got a sticker on the ship, our first sticker. It may actually take several episodes to sticker this ship out, but I've done the best I can to explain the measurements to what I think is pretty good. I've cut it out, and I'm pretty happy with the placement, and I'm pretty happy with the way that it looks. Really interested in see what some of your comments are on this stuff, because some people might do it slightly different. This is just the way that I do it, and I think it's working out okay. It worked out fine on the other ones, so yeah, I don't have any issue with it. Anyway, hope you're happy with this episode, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.